All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Joint Center. My name's Spencer Overton. I'm the interim president of the Joint Center. I want to start off by thanking Brian Smedley, Carla Galat, as well as the rest of the Joint Center team that pulled this together. Thanks Jerry Spann, as well as Roger Clegg for responding, coming in and responding. In April of 2013, I pestered Cheryl about lunch. Sometimes DC can seem so focused on the next position or titles, and I felt like, hey, this is someone who I admire. We can kind of have lunch, build intellectual community, throw around ideas. But Cheryl was busy. She said, hey, we can't have lunch right now. I've got a new book that's going to come out in May of 2014 about the next generation of diversity strategies. And so by September, she'd finished her book, and she reached out to me to read it, right, to read a draft. And since I was trying to build, intellectual community is not just about having coffee. It's about actually reading drafts and providing feedback. And so I was thrilled to do that. I found the draft fresh. I found that, I certainly pushed back in some areas. I think I did. I thought would be contested. But what was most attractive to me was just about the future of race. Often we look backward, and history is very important, but focusing on the future of race. So fast forward to today, where we are here at the Joint Center. We've been thinking a lot about the new Joint Center, thinking about honing in and reinvigorating our core strengths. What makes us different here at the Joint Center? What are we uniquely situated to do? We've got relationships with the 11,000 black elected officials in the country, and so certainly that's one thing we are situated to do. Thank you, David. Appreciate it. Young males of color. We had the Dellums Commission in 2005 and 2006 that was led by Dr. Gail Christopher, who's now at Kellogg, but who then was at the Joint Center. She really kind of spearheaded that, and Congressman Dellums was the chair. And that, along with the efforts of many others, contributed to the My Brother's Keepers initiative that the president just announced. But place matters place is another big issue for us here in terms of the Joint Center. Place matters is in 27 different jurisdictions, and I'm sorry about the disruption. We'll keep moving things along here. That was also spearheaded by Dr. Christopher, and it deals with the geography of residential segregation. Basically, residential segregation is powerful in terms of shaping life expectancy. Our Place Matters program identifies the social determinants of health and explains why lifespan is 30 years less in one census tract in Baltimore than in another, and it devises solutions. And we're doing work with promise zones as well in terms of co-chairing a task force. So place is a core part of the Joint Center. It's a part of the future of race. So I'm excited that on the eve of the 60th anniversary of Brown v. Board, the Joint Center is looking forward, that the Joint Center is building the intellectual community that we talked about by hosting one of the leading scholars who's thinking about the future of race, Sheryll Cashin. So let's get started. Let me introduce the Vice President of the Joint Center, Dr. Brian Smedley. Dr. Smedley?
Thanks, Spencer.
Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks, everybody, for coming on a rainy day. I know it's difficult to get around D.C. when it's raining, but we are delighted to have this outstanding panel here. As Spencer mentioned, tomorrow is the 60th anniversary of the Brown v. Board of Education decision. When we go into the Q&A, I'm going to ask our panelists, how would this court rule today on the Brown v. Board decision? It's an interesting intellectual exercise. We also are 2 weeks removed from the Supreme Court decision affirming the Michigan ballot initiative on affirmative action. So this is a very timely conversation. Let me introduce our panelists, and then we'll ask Sheryl to come up and speak about her book. Sheryll Cashin is professor of law at Georgetown. She writes about race, relations, and inequality in America. She's a passionate advocate and sought-after speaker. She teaches constitutional law and race in American law, among other subjects. Those of you who know her know that she's written 2 other books. That's correct? The Agitator's Daughter, a memoir of 4 generations of one extraordinary African-American family, and The Failures of Integration, published in 2004. Both have been award-winning books, and look forward to hearing more about those. To her left, not ideologically, is Professor Jerry Spann. He is the James and Catherine Denny Professor of Law at the Georgetown University Law Center, where he teaches contracts, torts, and constitutional law. He served as a staff attorney for the Public Citizen Litigation Group before joining the Law Center faculty in 1979. He, as well, is the author of several books and articles concerning race and the constitutional concept of equality. He's a current member of the American Law Institute, and he's served on the board of the D.C. Neighborhood Legal Services Program, as well as many other boards and committees. To Sheryl's right is Roger Clegg. He is president and general counsel of the Center for Equal Opportunity. He focuses on legal issues arising from civil rights law, including the regulatory impact on business and the problems in higher education created by affirmative action. A former Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the Reagan and Bush administrations, Clegg held the second highest positions in both the Civil Rights Division and in the Environment and Natural Resources Division. He has held several other positions at the U.S. Justice Department, including Assistant to the Solicitor General. All right, please join me in welcoming Professor Sheryll Cashin.
Good morning. It's really an honor to be here. Thank you so much, Spencer. I really appreciate your leadership, your friendship, being part of your intellectual community. Spencer was one of the few people who read the entire first draft, and absolutely you did make it better. I want to thank Brian Spedley, also a friend and colleague, and thank you for taking the time to be here. I want to begin by talking about the end of my book. At the end of this book, A Labor of Love, I have a letter to my sons, Logan and Langston, in which I tell them, quite frankly, that I've written a book that if people accept or follow my recommendations, undermines the possibility that they will ever benefit from affirmative action or legacy preferences. I'm okay with that. Frankly, my wonderful husband Mark Chambliss is here. Frankly, my children are incredibly privileged. Some days they're so privileged I can barely stand them. They take all my money, right? But they are privileged to be in a wonderful, highly resourced, diverse, international baccalaureate Mandarin immersion school, the Yu Ying Public Charter School here, with fantastic, well-prepared teachers. They have 2 parents with 6 degrees between them, who have paid attention to their every cognitive function. They're going to be okay as long as they choose to do the work and take advantage of the incredible advantages that they have. But I was raised, the agitator's daughter, I was raised to care about other people's children. I love mine, but I also care passionately about other people's children, particularly children who have a lot less than my children have. And many of the strivers in separate and unequal schools today will not be okay if we don't figure out how to create a saner politics in this country that invests in all children. Now, here we are, as Spencer said, on the eve of the 60th anniversary of Brown v. Board, and I do want to pay homage to that decision, pay homage to the work of my former boss, the great Thurgood Marshall. Brown versus